And there's just the one song, or there's multiple
Let's see. Okay, where am
songs. Is
I?
anybody here?
It's just one.
Okay, there's just one song.
I think so. The one song that needs.
It needs background. Okay.
You want
So it's a feature. I'm good. Everyone hear me?
No.
Better?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to get started, everyone. So if you can kind of gather around, keep your signs visible.
You need to come this way because you want to.
Oh, the camera.
Yeah, right there. You're good. You're good right there.
So my name is Dr. Maha Hilal, and I'm the Executive Director of Muslim Counter Publics Lab, as well as the co-coordinator of the For Us, Not Amazon Coalition, along with my friend and colleague, Chris Garrity. We have a couple of coalition members with us here today, including Luz and Danny from La Colectiva and Casey from Surge Nova. So if you want to get involved in the work to challenge and fight back against Amazon, please let us know. So we're here again. We were here in October last year to demand accountability for a woman named Poushawn Brown. If you haven't already heard of Poushawn Brown, now is the time for you to learn about her case. Poushawn Brown was a 38-year-old Black woman who was working at Amazon and who was being made to conduct COVID testing for her colleagues without any protective equipment or gear, without any safety measures, and despite regulations specifying that in order for someone to be conducting COVID testing, they had to have the appropriate experience, background, licensure, such as those in the medical profession. Poushawn did not have any or did not meet this criteria, but her pleas to stop COVID testing were ignored. On January 7th of 2021, Poushawn Brown went to sleep, and the following day, she never woke up. So we're here 2 years after Poushawn died to continue demanding accountability and justice for Poushawn Brown. When I was thinking about what I would say this somber afternoon, one of the things I looked to was quotes from Jeff Bezos. Because like any good propagandist, Jeff Bezos has said a lot. So Bezos said, for example, your brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. What do we have to say about Bezos' brand? What should we say about a brand that's responsible for workers' abuses, for workers' deaths, for workers' injuries, for all the injustices that come and are exploited by Jeff Bezos in order to continually make him the richest man in the world? I know there's some exceptions. Sometimes he drops to number 2. But nevertheless, we should be clear in building the narrative and continuing to build the narrative around the kind of company Amazon is. That when you see Amazon's logo on vans in your neighborhood. You don't associate that with fast delivery. You associate it with worker abuses, worker injuries, worker deaths. That's what we should know. That's what everyone in this country should know about Amazon. Here's another quote from Jeff Bezos about regret. He said, quote, "In most cases, our biggest regrets turn out to be acts of omission. It's paths not taken and they haunt us. We wonder what would have happened. I knew that when I was 80, I would never regret trying this thing, quitting a good job to start Amazon, and I was super excited about it. If I didn't try it, there would be a 0% of regret, and if I tried and failed, I wouldn't regret it." That's a useful metric for any important life decisions. Now keep in mind, Jeff Bezos never regrets the people that die in Amazon warehouses so he can gain a profit. This is not the kind of regret he's talking about. He's talking about regrets in terms of what could have made him more money. So we need to demand and continue to demand and fight for him to be hit so hard with Poushawn Brown's death that this becomes one of his greatest regrets, failing to show and actually give accountability to Poushawn's family. He needs to regret this. He needs to regret everything he's done, everyone he's harmed, to get him this mansion behind us. And we're here to make sure that he regrets Poushawn Brown's death and that Poushawn Brown's family gets justice, finally. So we're going to have a couple of speakers, including our beloved Tina Brown, Poushawn Brown's sister, who has been fighting since day one to tell Amazon, "I will not accept the death of my sister, and I will fight." And we will all be here for that fight. So without further ado, I want to welcome Tina to give us her thoughts, perspectives, demands as we commemorate the 2-year anniversary of Poushawn Brown's death.
Hey, let's get Tina's back. Like, let's get behind her, right? The people who are watching from home, they'll see that she's got a pocket.
First, I want to thank. Can you guys hear me? Okay, I want to thank everyone for coming out today. The support, just seeing everybody here, it reminds me of when we were in New York. Everyone that came out to support. I want to apologize in advance. I'm not feeling too well. Today, 2 years ago on this day, I lost my sister. I said I wasn't going to cry today because this is a celebration. It took me a long time to say celebration because when you celebrate something, it seems like you're happy about it. I'm not happy about the death of my sister. But like I said, to this day, 2 years ago, my sister died. 15 minutes from here, she worked at Amazon DDC3 location. And I don't know if you guys know the story, but I'm going to tell it. I'm going to continue to tell the story to people who know, people who don't know. My sister worked in Springfield at the DDC3 location. I also worked there. She started in 2018. She started off as a driver. From a driver, she went to Fresh. From Fresh, she went to Prime. Then she went to the warehouse, DDC3. And for those 2 years, she was on a night shift as a sorter. And then in April of 2020, March 2020, COVID came. Between March and May, my sister complained vigorously to Amazon about the unsafe conditions of the warehouse and scared with the COVID, still having to work, the threatening of not having any PTO, being fired. So in June, they sent her a letter and said because she was such an outstanding employee and they appreciated her caring and compassion for the work, they're going to be moving her to the COVID safety department. And therefore, she was a safety champion. And her job was entitled to take temperatures, tell people to stand 6 feet away from each other, make sure everyone had masks. So from June until October, around April, because like I said, I worked there. Amazon, Jeff said that he was gonna have its own COVID testing center. We didn't think anything about it. We didn't know what it was. You know, we saw it in the news, we heard around the warehouse, but never would I have thought that Amazon employees, us, just single individuals, just came there to be night sorters, package handlers. We are COVID testing. So my sister was illegally COVID testing. She was instructed to illegally COVID test, and she was trained by another Amazon employee to stick a Q-tip swab in the nose to do a COVID test with no proper PPE, with no gloves, no mask, just a regular Amazon check mask inside the warehouse. My sister COVID tested illegally for Amazon against the CDC and FDA regulations. Amazon had, at that time and now, enough money in the world to hire doctors, nurses to come out. My sister was not a doctor. She was not a nurse. She was not an LPN, an RN, or a CNA. She had nothing to do with the medical field. She had a degree in human resources. None of that was ever explained to her. So I want to say this. Someone called me this last week and they said, you shouldn't say when your sister worked for the company that she did every shift in the warehouse and that she loved that company. And I'm going to say the truth. I'm always going to say it. I'm always going to speak the truth. No matter how I feel about Amazon, my sister was a loyal, she was a faithful, she was a dedicated, a devoted employee. She worked every shift in that warehouse. And you know how she worked every shift? It's because she knew the warehouse. I only worked one shift, and that was my shift. My sister never said no. She never said no. She came in early, she stayed late. I'm going to speak the truth. I'm always going to say the truth. For 2 years now, I feel like I and Chris, we have marched around this world speaking about my sister and the injustice that's done on her, the indirect murder from Jeff Bezos' Amazon, forcing my sister to illegally COVID test when there was no vaccination out. This virus killed millions of people. I have no clue what he was thinking. And on January 8th, 2021, as I go back to this day, as I stood over my sister, and I keep thinking to myself, did I do everything? When I made that first call to her that Friday morning, that second call, I should have sent somebody the second time she didn't answer the phone. I should have sent somebody the third. But I had to keep it. Did the EMTs do everything that they're supposed to do? Did they do? I keep replaying it back. It's a prisoner in my mind. It's because my sister was always on time. She was never late. I'm always late, but she was always on time. And that first phone call, by the time she didn't answer the phone, the second phone call, I should have sent somebody. I should have sent someone. I shouldn't have waited until the third time to call her. But I have to go, like my grandma said, to the root. Whether I sent somebody at the second, first, third, or the EMTs did their job or not, the root of the problem is Jeff Bezos having employees that had no medical profession illegally COVID test. They had no business being put in harm's way. And I think that it's 2 years now. And I'm still speaking and talking about the injustice done on my sister. It's disgusting. But today, I'm going to celebrate my sister. I'm thankful all of you guys came out. And Dukes, I told you on that day, before they took you to the morgue. I'm going to keep every promise. I remember everything you told me. I got your back, your front, your side. I got everything. I am your keeper. I'm going to keep every promise I made to you as long as I have a breath in my body and even after that. And I'm going to say to you that justice is this year. Justice is coming. And I mean that. And everyone here has to know that. So I want to say I love you. I miss you. It's not a day that doesn't go by. I do not think about you. I'm telling you, I'm not going to leave no stone unturned, no paper not filed. I'm going to get justice for you. And I love you so much. Please keep me. Please keep me safe. Please hold me. Please protect me. Please continue to watch me and have my back. And I know you're here. I know not in the physical, but I hear you talk to me. I see you in my dreams. And please continue to come see me in my dreams. Please talk to me. Please guide me. I love you so much. Thank you, guys.
I don't know about y'all, but I'm pissed off. It's not the way I really wanted to bring in 2023. So I'm gonna apologize because my energy is kind of low today because, you know, I just had to attend the funeral yesterday. Just had the news of somebody else in my family passing away. And now I'm here reminiscing this moment when I found out about Poushawn 2 years ago. So I got a bunch of feelings going through me right now, and the most prominent one is anger right now. And it's only because, you know, like our comrade said earlier, we're back out here again. You know, 2 years of fighting and advocating for Pooh and her daughter Gabby. And nothing. All we get is a couple of articles here and there, get a couple of videos out on social media here and there, and a couple of inquiries here and there. Some interest with journalists, but there's no fight for a Black woman. This right here is a civil rights moment. And I shouldn't be the only one that's representing labor. The union, the Amazon Labor Union, by itself shouldn't be the only one. Other politicians and prominent people that are silent about this issue, that know about this issue. I personally brought it to their attention. And I know Christina has done a number of phone calls in the last couple of weeks to some prominent people that's going to help, hopefully. But to be here 2 years later without justice is inhumane by itself. So I'm gonna fill in some gaps. What happened when I found out 2 years ago? It wasn't from the news, wasn't from social media. It was from another worker in that warehouse, the same warehouse where Pooh worked. Another worker reached out to me and said, there's some things going on with COVID, and here's a situation about a worker who was tested. And I seen her every day testing other employees. Amazon swept it under the rug, didn't mention anything about it. I had no clue until this worker brought it to my attention. So I did some research and due diligence. I found the GoFundMe, which at the time only had a couple $100s in it, because Christina was doing it by herself. Amazon didn't help them, didn't offer them no money, didn't offer no funeral service, money, relief, or anything. And the first thing I did was reach out to Christina and ask for permission to even talk to her about her sister's death. And when I finally had that conversation, it was a no-brainer for me. I reached out to Jordan from Status Quo. Next thing you know, we raised money to help, just to help get them past the burial and whatever else was needed at that time. Nowhere near the price of her life. Breadcrumbs, if you ask me. And that wasn't enough for me. We brought Christina to several demonstrations in New York City. We brought Christina in front of Jeff Bezos' mansions in New York City, as well as here. We advocated for Poushawn ever since we found out about it. And once again, I'm pissed off because we get nothing in return but grief and hardship of being in the streets. But this year is different. Like Christina said, we're not going to give up. Not going to give up. We are going to get justice this year. I know a number of people who've already received settlements from Amazon for other reasons, non-related to wrongful death, because that's exactly what this is. This is wrongful death. She should have never been put in that position. I don't care what anybody say. Everybody's want to know, how did she die? What did she die from? The bottom line is she should have never been put in that position. None of them should have. That's the part that has to be held accountable, first and foremost. But I absolutely believe in my heart, and nobody could tell me otherwise, that had she not been in that position, she'd still be here today. No vaccine at the time, no PPE, no N95, no surgical gloves, no gown, no plexiglass in the warehouse. And she was testing next to the workstations on the other side. And I have pictures to prove it. Have all of this. Have everything. She emailed the management warning them that people were coming in there positive. They turned a blind eye. And even after she passed, the only thing they offered the family was 2 months of counseling. 2 months. That expired over a year ago. So just think about that for a second. The richest man in the world at one point in time. Somebody was making $13 billion. $13 billion a day the day she died. $13 billion a day. $9 million an hour. Almost $5,000 a second. A second. And they did nothing for this family. So we're here to remind them we're not going anywhere. We want justice for Pooh. We want justice now. And I don't have the energy today to really scream at the top of my lungs as much as I want to. And I've done that thousands of times. But our actions are going to scream louder than our words. I'm going to tell you that right now. Our actions is going to scream louder than our words. I want Jeff Bezos to know that. We're here, and we're not going nowhere. We will be back. And every dog has his day. And I can tell you now, Christina's a fighter. She's probably more of a fighter than I am. And I will be damned if I don't see her get justice. So I want to thank y'all all for showing up today. And don't just make this a one-day thing. Don't just leave here and forget about it. She's right here in DC. We're in New York. We're not going to be able to travel down all the time. But when this black woman calls, somebody got to answer the phone over here. I know I will, and I know my team will. I know the union will. but we need the community as well. This is a community fight. This is a people fight. This is a working class fight. This is a civil rights fight. So it's time for us to pick up the phone. It's time for us to share this on social media. Tell our neighbors, tell our friends, tell our family members, tell our household that Poushawn deserves justice. Just like anybody else. Just like George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Poushawn Brown is here. So please, say her name. Say her name. Say her name. Thank you, y'all. I'm gonna pass it to my brother, Derek Palmer.
Thank you all for coming. I agree with Chris. I'm also very sad about this situation. You know, just dealing with Amazon for all these years that I have, you know, being an employee, you know, knowing how they treat their employees is just ridiculous. Especially in this case right here. You know, when Chris told me about the Poushawn Brown death, you know, I was very sad because it's like, how can a company turn their eye on someone who they had COVID testing other workers, knowing that they weren't supposed to do it in the first place, knowing that they're putting this person's lives in danger, and not just their lives, but the whole family's lives in danger. So I'm just upset that we have to come back here again because Jeff Bezos and this company refuses to take accountability for their actions. You know, and you know, I commend Christina. I commend the whole family for being so strong. You know, every time I see them, you know, they still have hope, and that gives me hope. That gives my whole team hope. You know, the ALU is here for Poushawn, and you know, I'm gonna keep it short. The Poushawn is watching us, and she was there during our campaign, and she knows that Amazon is gonna have to pay, just as the ALU knows, just as all these other workers all around the country who've been mistreated. They know that Amazon's day is coming because we're going to continue to unionize. We're going to continue to fight for Poushawn Brown, and she's going to continue to fight for us up there in heaven. Thank you all. I'll pass it on to my brother, Jordan Flowers.
Hello, everyone. I just want to keep it short too. Yeah, it's sad that you know, passing Poushawn Brown and the fighting that we're doing, that Amazon is treating this family with disrespect, and that they, you know, she deserves justice. You know, Amazon terminated me last year due to my health issue, so you know, it's sad that Amazon treats us like this on a daily basis, and that, you know, the work that they do and the abuse that we have to deal with on a 10-hour, 12-hour shift. And, you know, it's sickening that, you know, 2 years later that Amazon still hasn't done nothing for this lady, for her child, for her sister. And that, you know, Christina's strong and she's going to continue fighting for her sister and for her justice. And I commend her. And again, it's just sad that, you know, Amazon is just holding off on, you know, just helping this family. And man, I'm sorry. It's actually just one of COVID and that. Sorry, y'all, but it's emotional. Like, again, you know, I worked at Amazon for 3 years and they mistreated me with my health issue and during COVID, and that's why I took the stance to fight against Amazon. So my story is Poushawn's story, and I'm going to continue using that story to fight. Thank you, y'all.
Hey everyone. So yes, I have to say the same exact thing about Amazon. I've been working there for 4 years. I've seen some incredibly atrocious things happening, especially with COVID. It was very difficult to go into work every single day knowing that either I was going to get COVID or my coworkers were getting COVID. Now it's changed little because of the vaccine and all of that. But it was very traumatizing to have to go through that. And I want to say, rest in peace to Poushawn Brown. She's always in our thoughts. I also am working on a women's committee in our union, the Amazon Labor Union. And we named our women's committee after Poushawn Brown. And she's always in our thoughts. And I want to say thank you to Christina for having us out here. Thank you.
So I want to say two quick things before I bring Danny from La Colectiva. The first thing is really a statement about the culture of this country. And the culture in this country is that, and what we're taught, is that we can't have the things we have unless other people are being exploited. That it is impossible for people to have a good living, to have a good life, unless others aren't being paid fair wages, unless others work in precarious situations, unless others literally have to die on the job so we can have nice things. And that's part of the culture in which Amazon operates. That we need 2-day delivery, and because we do, that should come at the expense of workers' health, workers' lives. So this is about challenging Amazon and the culture in this country that makes exploitation acceptable. That corporations can do whatever they want with zero accountability whatsoever. Some days, corporations are people. Other days, corporations aren't people. It just depends on who it is that's evading accountability. And as we know, Jeff Bezos has evaded accountability since the beginning of his empire. Now, the second thing I want to say is that when we were setting up for this rally, someone evidently called 911 because apparently our action was threatening to demand justice and accountability from a billionaire who could care less about the lives of workers is more violent than that the workers died to begin with. Have the police ever shown up when there's been a wrongful death at an Amazon warehouse? Maybe you can answer us instead of standing, looking on us as bystanders, when in reality, you're perpetuating injustice and preserving the status of America's corporate elite. Have you shown up when there's been a wrongful death at an Amazon warehouse? This is a rhetorical question because we know the answer is because that is not considered a crime. Instead, what is again to demand justice and accountability. So I'm going to invite my colleague, Danny, from La Colectiva and the For Us on Amazon Coalition to share some thoughts and perspectives on the fight against Amazon.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? All right. My name is Danny, and I'm an organizer with La Colectiva and For Us, Not Amazon. We've been organizing in Northern Virginia and with partners across the region for years now against Amazon and all of its harms. We organize in communities like Arlington and Fairfax County, where we know that a lot of people are already facing the reality of what it means to have Amazon HQ2 in this area. What it means to have warehouses in this area that are growing, for example, in Springfield, like where Pooh used to work. What it means to have data centers run by Amazon. The concentration of the internet running through our areas. And the reality is that our people, our families, working people, don't get anything from it except a bunch of harm, except violence, except exploitation. We started organizing because we knew that, again, Amazon's presence already is huge in this area. But when they said that they were planning to bring tens of thousands of people to work here at their corporate offices, making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, meanwhile, our families are struggling to make ends meet, are being displaced, gentrified, are being locked up by police that is seeing their funds increased, which, by the way, Amazon supports all of that. Amazon supports the politicians that are maintaining these conditions against our people. And so, while we're not a labor organization or coalition, when we heard about Pooh, we knew we had to do something. We knew that we couldn't just let that shit go, because that's Amazon legit killing our people, our neighbors, our loved ones. And so we reached out to Tina, and just want to say, just echo what others have also said. I really want to appreciate your leadership. I don't know where you went. Back there. But just always holding it down, right? Want to appreciate folks from FUNA that also helped pull this together today. Chris and Maha and Casey and others. The homies from ALU for coming down. All these organizations that are coming together to continue the pressure on Amazon for justice for Poushawn Brown. So when we met, it's been years now, we're like, yo, like, what do we do? Because they threw us off. How is it that media hasn't been covering this? What is going on? But I can tell you from direct experience in organizing previous campaigns here, that politicians, that the elite in this area have huge influence on the media. Not a coincidence that Bezos owns Washington Post. We ran a campaign in the past where we identified members of Congress who have received contributions from corporations that work with ICE, like Jerry Connolly, for example. He received tens of thousands of dollars from Amazon and other contractors from ICE. Guess what happened to that story that was published on Washington Post? It's gone. It's not up on their website anymore. So there is literal proof, evidence that we know that these corporations work with people in power to hide stories that affect them. And so this has been our work. With the bit of resources that we have, doing everything we can to work as organizations to keep the pressure up, to keep this name, Poushawn Brown, out in the public, to make sure that Amazon hears it. Because Jeff might not be here, but all his little bullshit cameras, his technology and everything, I bet you he knows, or somebody in his team knows that we're here. They know each time that we're around, they know each time that we say something about this, and we're gonna make sure it's louder and louder every single time. With the context of the pandemic, everybody I'm sure remembers the essential workers, our heroes, framing that was coming out, that the capitalists really used and exploited to maintain their status quo and expand their wealth while the rest of us were suffering, while the rest of us are losing our families. As Maha just said, they act like it's impossible to live well without motherfuckers getting rich every single day while we die. They act like that's not possible, but it is. Do you really think with all the money that they have, that workers couldn't have had proper health needs met at their job sites, that they could have had proper PPE from day one of a global pandemic being confirmed where people were getting sick? Do we think that they actually even had to go to work? If we really think about it, many people were having and needing to stay home, and corporations and government refused to help them. They have forced our people to get back to work under difficult conditions, keeping our people in danger and dying. And that's the reality of what capitalism is. So when they say essential workers are heroes, guess what? Heroes also mean that there's a villain somewhere, right? The villain wasn't just COVID. Yeah, fuck COVID. I have long COVID, yo. I hate it too. We all do. But the reality is that the villains are also the capitalists, are also Bezos, are also Amazon, are also the politicians that hold them up, are also the politicians that don't investigate when things like this happen, are also the ones that receive their money, are also the ones that give them subsidies. Because Virginia gives them gives Amazon specifically hundreds of millions of dollars in subsidies coming from our public funds to pay for their operations, to expand their headquarters, to create partnerships with the police, to exploit workers. All of that is happening because, yes, Jeff Bezos, yes, Amazon, and they need to be held accountable. We need to fight for justice in all ways. It's gonna be supporting workers who are organizing. It's gonna be communities, and it's also gonna be holding accountable politicians who are sustaining and expanding this system. And so we're here today because this is, as folks said, a fight for liberation. It's a fight for racial justice, for gender justice, for labor justice, for our communities. And we are grateful for everyone who's here and who's helped put this together. And we hope that y'all will join us in continuing the fight in justice for Poushawn Brown. Say your name. Say your name. Say your name. Say your name. Poushawn Brown.
I want to say a few things first before I introduce the next speaker.
No.
You know, it is sad that they use tax dollars to have police babysit us. They do this all the time. You know, they've been babysitting us for a very long time. And it's really a shame that, you know, Jeff Bezos would rather spend a couple $100,000 to pay a priest-in-law to babysit rather than put that money in his workers' pockets. So just a reminder, throw that out there. So I want to bring up our next speaker, who she has a story to tell, and this one is really powerful because she's coming from Amazon's corporate side. She filed a lawsuit against them, and she's going to speak on her story. Without further ado, Charmin Newman, y'all.
Hello. So my name is Charlotte Newman, and as Chris mentioned, I am currently in an active lawsuit with Amazon regarding racial discrimination, sexual harassment, and sexual assault. But I'm not here today to talk about that story, my story. I'm here because we're all here, right, to seek justice and accountability for Poushawn Brown. A quote that I thought about this morning as I reflected on this gathering today was a quote said in 1964, that the most disrespected person in America is a Black woman. That was true in 1964, and unfortunately, it is still true today in 2023. And as I think about Poushawn Brown and the position she was placed in without the proper training, without the proper resources to adequately test for COVID, The lack of regard for her person, for her life, for her body, that to me just flows back to that idea of just a lack of regard, a lack of respect, right? And an inability to see the humanity, right, in Poushawn specifically, and in workers like Poushawn more generally. And I don't want to, spend a lot of time, kind of going on, but I do want to lift up Christina. I met her last night, and I was just inspired by her fire, her fight. I can't imagine what it must be like here today on the anniversary of your sister's death. To be here and to be, trying to do what you can really to seek the justice that she deserves. And I just want to lift you up in that, because that has to be just a really difficult thing to do, to say the least. So again, I just joined the chorus of voices calling for justice for Poushawn Brown. She deserves us to continue to remember her, but also absolutely to have the accountability. There's just a general lack of accountability, right? That's been echoed across all of the comments that have been made. So again, let's say her name, Poushawn Brown.
Poushawn Brown.
Alrighty, guys. So I hope we haven't held you too much, but we're gonna get ready to wrap this up. I want to thank everyone who for coming out to support. I want to thank the people who traveled so far. Thank you so much. I want to thank everybody who emailed me, who texted me, who calls me to check on me, to check on my mom, to check on my niece, to check on our family. I want to thank you guys for the support. It means the world. I want to thank Chris, because at the end of the day he called me, he's been right here by my side. I know Jordan from Status Coop is not here, but he is amazing, phenomenal. I want to thank everyone, all the journalists that took the time to call me and actually report on my sister. That means the world. I know you guys could have been anywhere today on this Sunday, this cold day, but you guys are here and showing support for my sister, and it really means the world to us. And I need everyone to please continue to join me in justice, to fight for her. Share, like, post, whatever you need to do. TikTok, we need to get this out there. This is the year we are going to get justice for my sister, and I hope that when justice is gotten, I see all you guys' faces in celebration, and join me in celebration to get justice for my sister, and once justice and victory is won. So right now, it's getting cold, I'm sorry. I'm going to introduce a performer that is more than a performer to me. She's an artist, she's a singer, she's a songwriter. And when I say artist, she's really an artist. She taught herself at 7 how to play the piano. She's been writing songs for over 20 years now. This song that she is going to perform is, to me right now, it has so much to do with our situation. I love this song, and if you just listen to the words, I'm pretty sure some of you know it. You will see why I picked this song. And her voice is so angelic. I love Rihanna's voice, but she's in the lane of her own. I've never heard a voice like hers before. It's so angelic, it's so magical, it's so soothing. And I want you guys to light the candles are lit. I want you guys to hold your candles up. And like I said, Dukes, I love you. It's not a day that doesn't go by I don't think about you. I know I will see you again, and just continue to keep me and hold me. And we are on our way to justice. Victory is coming. It's this year. I feel like we already won. So I'm gonna introduce to you guys DMV's artist, Naya, and she is going to be singing Rihanna Lift Me Up. So give her a round of applause, because she is phenomenal.
Hey everybody, how's everybody doing? Thank you for this opportunity to showcase my art. I'm a little bit nervous, it's cold, but we're gonna get it done, and this is for Pooh at the end of the day. So thank you. Lift me up, hold me down, keep me close, safe and sound, burning in a hopeless dream. Hold me till you go to sleep. Keep me in the warmth of your arms till you keep me safe, safe and sound. Lift me up, hold me down, keep me close, safe and sound. Drowning in an endless sea. Take the time to stay with me. Keep me in the strength of your arms. Keep me safe, safe and sound. Lift me up, hold me down, keep me safe, safe and sound. Burning in a hopeless dream. Hold me till you go to sleep. Keep me safe. We need love. We need love. Lift me up in your arms. I need love, I need love, I need love. Hold me, 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 hold me. We need more. I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't know what you are. We need love. We need love. Sorry, guys. I don't usually do public performances. I've been writing, but it's hard, you know. But thank you. I'm working.
Thank you so much, Naya. That was beautiful. Really, really, really beautiful. And I think a really great way to close the rally today. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Tina, for leading us in this struggle, for keeping us committed to justice and accountability from Amazon. You know, Jeff Bezos, I love to quote Jeff Bezos, because when we talk about one of the ways that Amazon will fall, it's through the power of narrative. It's through the stories that are told about Amazon and Bezos, and challenging and changing those stories. So Amazon is not known about for their technology to send people to space. Amazon is known for abuse and murder. So Jeff Bezos once said, a company shouldn't get addicted to being shiny, because shiny doesn't last. And we're here to make sure that Amazon's shininess doesn't last. We're here to make sure that Amazon's reputation is tarnished so badly that it never recovers. from the reputation it should have of being a place where workers who are enthusiastic and loyal and committed go into work every day, with only some of them coming out alive on the other side. So this is a protest, a rally, a cry for justice that Tina has been leading us in. And I have to tell you, I often feel hopeless. I work on the war on terror and justice for Muslims. And that can feel really demoralizing, because what can we possibly do to challenge the state and corporations that collude with the state? I remember meeting with Tina a few months ago, and Tina said, "We are going to win, and we will get justice." And I have to tell you that I felt a different win leaving that meeting that day. Because one of the first times in a long time, it wasn't just about making things less worse. It was about making things better and demanding that they change in the long term. And so Tina is a powerful leader. And Jeff Bezos and Amazon made a mistake because they barked up the wrong tree. And he is going to regret what happened to Poushawn and what has happened to so many others. In Islam and as Muslims, when someone dies, we say, "To God we belong, and to God we return." This is a natural part of how we experience life. But not everyone dies with justice or in peace. Poushawn did not have that luxury. She was taken away too early. And so we need to make sure that we keep up the fight for Poushawn, for Tina, for Tina's mom, for Tina's son, for Tina's niece, for everyone that has been indelibly impacted by Poushawn's death. So to close, I hope for those of you that are new to the Amazon work, you'll consider joining us in the fight, in the struggle. And for those who have been there, that we continue to build the community dedicated to challenging Amazon. And we continue to build our narrative power so that the story of Amazon is not about cheap prices and fast delivery and trips to Mars. It is about worker exploitation and nothing less. And when we're done, when we get justice for Poushawn, we want to make sure Amazon's logo is synonymous with murder. So thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you, Tina, for being our bold and fearless leader, for showing us and making us feel like justice is possible and will happen. Thank you.
All right, y'all. Get home safe. Thank you all for coming out. You're more than welcome to talk to Tina. If anybody have any questions on how they can get involved, stay connected. Please talk to Tina right now. The time to do so. Thank you all again. Get home safe. Love and solidarity forever, y'all.
All day this week, and then I need to meet mine. This was the best. This was the